You know, we're living through maybe the most dynamic, linguistically interesting time in all of human history. Seriously, the way we talk, the way we write, the way we communicate, it's all changing faster than ever. And if you want to keep up, you've got to understand these shifts. To show you what I mean, let's just start with a quick question.
Just think about that for a second. Emojis, memes, AI. You use them every single day, right? They're all over your phone, they're in your group chats, and they power the devices you literally talk to. So what's the thread that ties them all together?
Well, here it is. They are all part of a new, unwritten rulebook for our language. And these aren't just silly internet quirks, not at all. They are genuine, functioning linguistic systems that completely change how we understand each other. And to really get a handle on them, you need a very specific, very modern set of skills.
To really succeed today, you need a lot more than just the old school academic stuff. You need what a lot of experts are calling 21st century skills. Think of it like a survival kit for the modern world.
So what are they exactly? Well, you can think of them as the essential toolkit for living in the information age. It's less about what you know and way more about what you can do with what you know. This whole framework just helps us zero in on the abilities that really matter in a world that's changing by the minute.
Okay, and what's so useful about this framework is how it breaks everything down into 3 core buckets. You can see them right here. You've got learning skills, literacy skills, and life skills. Let's use this as our roadmap for the next few minutes, and we're going to hit each one. First up, we've got the learning skills. People often call these the 4 C's, and they're all about your mental horsepower. You know, how you think critically, how you come up with new ideas, how you work with other people, and how you get your own ideas across. This is basically the engine room for how you solve problems.
Next up are the literacy skills, IMT, Information, Media, and Technology. And this is not your grandma's literacy. It's not just about reading. It's about finding your way in a world that's absolutely flooded with information. Like, can you spot when you're reading fake news? Do you get how a story's put together to make you feel a certain way? And, of course, are you good with the tech that's delivering it all to you?
And finally, we land on life skills. The acronym to remember here is FLIPS. We're talking flexibility, leadership, initiative, productivity, and social skills. These are the qualities that help you just navigate, well, life. Being able to pivot when things go off the rails, or stepping up to take the lead on a project. These are the skills that actually make stuff happen. So, what's the one thing that connects all of these different categories? What's the master key that unlocks everything? It's language. I mean, from communicating an idea, to spotting misinformation, to just understanding someone's tone, it all comes down to linguistics. It gives you the tools to master every single one of these skills. Okay, so let's get out of the theory and see how this actually plays out in the real world. Because the truth is, you're already using these incredibly advanced linguistic systems every single day, and you probably don't even think about it.
I mean, just take emojis. They're not just fun little pictures. They are a modern writing system. Think about it. In a text, you can't hear someone's tone of voice, so a simple sure with a period can feel cold or even sarcastic. But add that little smiling emoji, and suddenly it's warm, it's polite, it's positive. The emoji is doing all the heavy lifting of tone that your voice would normally do.
And what about memes? You probably think of them as just silly internet jokes, right? Well, linguistically, they are wildly complex. A meme's meaning is built up in layers. You've got the picture, you've got the text, but most important of all, you need that shared cultural knowledge to even get the joke. They're basically a masterclass in how we build meaning together.
And then, of course, there's AI. When you tell your phone, set a timer for 10 minutes, it's not like it understands you the way a person does. It's not magic, it's a process. First, it takes your speech as input and turns it into text. Then it does syntax analysis, breaking down the grammar of your sentence. After that comes semantics, figuring out what you actually mean. And finally, you get the output. The timer is set.
But that process is far from perfect. And when these incredibly powerful systems get it wrong, the results can be anything from kinda funny to deeply problematic. And that brings us to the much trickier side of things, algorithmic bias. So this is a real example that actually happened. A user who happened to have a non-standard accent asked for a simple alarm and was completely misunderstood. It's funny, yeah, but it's also a perfect kind of jaw-dropping example of a much bigger problem. Our tech often fails when it comes to linguistic diversity.
Now, this is the really critical part to understand. The AI isn't being malicious here. It's just a mirror. It's reflecting back what we've shown it.
These systems learn our language by crunching through gargantuan data sets of human text and speech from the internet. So if our data is full of biases, and it is, the AI is going to learn and reproduce those same biases. And trying to clean the entire internet, well, you can imagine what a massive task that is.
And this bias shows up in all sorts of ways. You've got accent bias, which we just saw, where the system works better for people with dominant accents. You have gender bias, where a translation tool might automatically assume a doctor is a he and a nurse is a she. And then there's search engine bias, which can actually bury minority voices and perspectives by just ranking them lower in the results.
But this power of language goes way beyond just tech. In politics, in the news, in our public debates, the words we choose don't just describe our reality, they actively create it. This is the incredible power of framing.
The right phrase, chosen carefully, can completely shape how you feel about an issue before you've even had a chance to think it through. It's like it bypasses your rational brain and goes straight for the gut. And let me tell you, politicians and the media are absolute masters of this game.
Just look at this example. Call something a migrant crisis, and it sounds like a dangerous threat, like an invasion. But call the exact same situation a humanitarian challenge, and it sounds like a problem of human suffering that we need to solve with compassion. Same facts, totally different emotional worlds.
Or how about this one? The phrase, tax relief. I mean, who doesn't want relief? It frames taxes as some horrible burden you need to be saved from. But call it tax cuts for the wealthy, and suddenly your brain focuses on a totally different question. Wait, who actually benefits from this?
And one last one. Security measures. That sounds great, right? It makes you feel safe and protected. But call the same thing surveillance policies, and it triggers feelings of being watched, of your privacy being invaded. The key, the real takeaway here, is to always ask yourself, what other words could they have used? And what would that have changed?
So, all of this leaves us with some really huge open questions about the future. Is AI and predictive text actually going to change how we spell things, or even how we build sentences? As English keeps spreading across the globe, what's going to happen to smaller local languages? And are we watching entirely new dialects, like Internet English, being born right before our eyes? But maybe the biggest, most important question of them all is this one right here. Artificial intelligence is learning to communicate by studying us. It's analyzing billions of our conversations, our articles, our posts. It's learning our patterns, our knowledge, and yes, our biases. So as we build this future of communication, the question we have to leave you with is, what exactly are we teaching?